Dan Smith well out in front with over $5 million in chips. The Australian Gary Benson in second place with $3 million. 5 left, fighting it out for that first prize of over $1.1 million.
And he's at 5,000. Blinds are 20 and 40. And let's start with Dan Smith. He's going to quickly fold his hand. The Australian Gary Benson also going out.
Shaun Suller out.
And now Eddy Sabat. They call him Special Ed from Los Angeles with a 10-8 of hearts, just going to call. Barry Hutter now.
I'm shocked he didn't raise with an ace high here, but he said give us a flop. Oh, nice flop for Eddy Sabat right there. A straight draw and a flush draw. He's got the 10-8 of hearts. It come queen 9-3 with 2 hearts, and he's going to lead out and bet 55,000.
Barry from Florida not hitting any of that, but he's going to call it.
Now, this is puzzling to me. You don't raise before the flop with ace high.
Look at this, ace of hearts, Mike.
Well, this ace of hearts is going to probably get him in trouble because his opponent has a flush.
Eddy beautifully checks his flush. Barry Hutter has made $450,000 in worldwide earnings, and they get into trouble here. He's going to make a bet, 115.
Well, it's 115,000, thinking he's got the best hand. Little does he know, he's in dire straits, drawing dead.
Eddy just going to call, walk the dog. King of diamonds on the river, no change.
Now possible straight out there as well as a possible flush. Eddy checking again.
Yeah, trying to trap again. Barry, too wise for that, checks behind him. So Eddy taking the pot, but not quite as much as he'd like.
Well, that hand very puzzling to me, Vince.
This is you. This is you playing poker on WPT Global. Come play at WPT Global. Click the link in the YouTube description below. Sign up with bonus code YT10 and receive your welcome package with a deposit match and free tournament tickets.
Eddy, after making that flush, certainly didn't get any value out of it.
All right, a little baffling, but here we go. Into the next hand, Barry Hutter is going to fold his hand. Our chip leader, Dan Smith, also will not play.
Now the Australian, Gary Benson, looks down at Jack 7 offsuit. He's on the button. Going to throw it away.
And now the Hawaiian, Shaun Suller. He's got king, queen in the small blind, and yes, he will raise.
Yeah, Shaun, 31 years old, been playing poker 5 years. This is his second WPT cash this season.
Makes it 100,000. Eddy, though, with an ace-7. Eddy's accumulated over 1.6 million in live earnings. Pretty impressive, and he's going to make this call. So we got king, queen versus ace-7. And the flop's king, queen, 8.
Beautiful flop for Shaun. He's flopped the top 2 pair, action on him, and he's going to check.
Yeah. Going to try to trap. Eddy, though, not falling into a trap. Checks as well. Deuce of clubs on the turn. Come out wherever you are.
Shaun is now going to bet 100,000.
Sure he is. Now Eddy, with nothing here, cannot play. He folds the hand very wisely, and the Hawaiian, 31 years old, says he's unemployed, just plays poker now with his friends, comes to the mainland every once in a while, plays a tournament, takes down that pot. Nicely done.
He's a very spiritual guy. Even stacks his chips in a cross once in a while, does Shaun Suller.
Dan Smith now, chip leader with ace-queen.
90.
Makes it 90,000 to go. Gary Benson, the entrepreneur from Australia.
He goes out.
Shaun out, but Eddy Sabat has picked up 2 kings.
He is loving this right now.
Whoa.
And just calls. Does not raise here. Slow playing the 2 kings. And right behind him, Barry Hutter has picked up ace-king. This is definitely going to get 3-bet here.
Oh, follow the yellow brick road. Look at this. Yep.
Well, 275,000, but to Dan, he thinks this guy might be just making a squeeze play here with not that strong of a hand. So what do you do now with ace-queen? Well, if you're Dan Smith, you call. That's what you do. But the calling's about over with right here, folks. You are now going to see the kings step up
Don't
and
get
show
ahead
some
of
force.
yourself.
Well, You're going to raise now for sure, Vince.
I know, but do you have to tell everyone?
Well, you slow played him to start with. You got a dream scenario. The guy behind you raised. The other guy called. Hello, darling.
Yeah, but look at the acting style.
$1 million total.
There you go. Mike's million going in. So exciting if you have that kind of hand and you played it coolly and you just called. But Barry's in a bit of trouble here.
Well, Vince, I think he's got to ship his stack in here.
I'm on.
Yes, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
You're never going to put your opponent on ace or kings. He didn't raise the original raiser.
Dan disgusted. He got involved with that. Folds his hand, of course. Eddie makes the insta-call, and they turn the cards up.
Kings versus ace-king.
Well, Barry Hutter's tournament life on the line here. Unfortunately for him, Dan folded an ace, so odds of him winning are getting thinner.
Barry Hutter from Hollywood, Florida in trouble. And the flop's a 9-9-7.
It's not too promising.
9?
Not gonna be all right.
The crowd on its feet. A 10 of spades on the turn. No ace there for Barry.
So we are down to the river card. And Barry Hutter from Hollywood, Florida must catch an ace on the river or he'll be out in 5th place.
River card at Bellagio. Here we go.
It's a jack. So Eddie's going to win the pot. That's going to do it for the 27-year-old poker pro out of Hollywood, Florida. Barry Hutter out tonight in 5th place.
Oh boy, Barry Hutter melts like butter. Gonna take home $219,000. Over to talk to Matt Savage.
Barry took home $219,000 today. Are you satisfied with your performance?
As far as how I played, yeah. I mean, obviously I'd like to win.
Being your first experience at the World Poker Tour final table, what'd you think of it?
I mean, it was a good experience. It would have been nicer to win.
Right.
I don't know, it was good.
Well, you've got a lot of experience going in the poker world, so I'm sure we'll see you again. Good luck to you.
With Barry out, we are down to 4 players. The blinds are going up to 25 and 50,000.
Yeah, Dan Smith still well out in front, as you can see. 4.8 million, but Eddy Sabat now in 2nd place, 3.7.
Quick fold by Eddy Sabat. And now Dan Smith with a 7 deuce.
110.
He's got to try to get fancy with his hand and raise. Makes it 110 to go.
Well, theoretically, the worst poker hand you can start with, the 7 deuce offsuit. Didn't stop Dan from raising it, though.
Yeah, Gary out, but Shaun Suller has ace queen. What's he going to do with that?
You think it's an automatic 3-bet here.
No, it's not, though. He's just going to call.
So we're going to have a flop here.
Flops king, 6, 7. Look at this. Dan's hit 7s. Shaun's going to check.
Well, Dan has outflopped him here. But he was allowed to outflop him because Shaun didn't raise it pre-flop.
And Dan's going to bet 125,000.
Shaun going nowhere here.
He's running backwards. He's making his call.
Well, this is what happens.
4 diamonds on the turn.
When you don't 3-bet with these kind of hands before the flop, you know, I don't know why you just latch onto it and continue to play.
Well, they both check. And a jack of spades on the river. So Shaun did not get lucky with that last card. He's going to check again. And Dan's happy to show 7s.
At the 7.
And Dan Smith is going to extend his chip lead.
Shaun gives that wry grin, as you can see, saying, why didn't I 3-bet this before the flop? I can't believe I let this guy win a pot with a 7 deuce offsuit.
Just want to impress the cameras.
Dan Smith has won 2 high roller events in 2012 for over $1 million each.
There's 2 of Dan's good buddies, Lucky Chewy and Steve Silverman, here to root him on tonight. And right now they're saying, hey, maybe I should try to win some pots with 7 deuce offsuit.
All right, on we go. A couple folds at the Hawaiian. Shaun Suller picking up the Cowboys. Pair of kings.
Oh, and he just limps in.
Wow.
Oh, a lot of cagey play here at this table.
Trying to get a raise, but doesn't get it out of Eddy Sabat, who has a king deuce. Oh, and the flop is at ace, king, 8. 3 of a kind there for Shaun, and kings there for Eddy. They both check. Queen of hearts on the turn.
Well, obviously, Eddy drawn completely dead. Shaun's still checking. Well, he's finally convinced Eddy they might have the best hand with 2 kings. Little does he know, he's far from it.
Eddy's bet 80,000 to the delight of Shaun, who's saying maybe I'll get some money out of this pot. Yeah, it just makes a smooth call. Down to the river we go. And it's a nothing 5 of diamonds.
Well, action on Shaun. Now he's going to lead out at the pot. Now I bet's 150,000, but the way this hand was played, the guy never bet, never raised. You're going to pay him off with 2 kings here.
3 kings.
Wow.
The last
The Hawaiian Shaun Suller taking the pot. Take it when you can. 4-handed action. He decided to play slow in the beginning and try to trap.
No more kings.
Kind of backfired right there, but he still takes the pot. Nicely done. Action on the Australian. He folds the hand.
Shaun on the button with the ace-10 of clubs, going to raise it, makes it 115,000 to go.
Into Eddy Sabat from LA. He's got queen 8 of spades.
Eddy in the small blind.
Got an accounting degree from USC, so he should be able to figure this out.
Well, those are not calling chips. Those red chips are 25,000 each. So this is a 3-bet up to 275,000 by Eddy Sabat here with the queen 8.
Dan quickly folds. Now back on Shaun. And he's going to call this, of course.
And makes the call, so we're going to have a flop here. The flop is Jack 7-6, no help to either player. Action on Eddy. And he is going to make the continuation bet, as you should do if you 3-bet before the flop. Bets 250,000 here. Shaun going out with the best hand. This is the perfect example of how a 3-bet works. You take the lead, you bet the flop, your opponent goes out. Well done right there by Eddy.
Yeah, he says he's a great basketball player, loves basketball. He actually said he made 57 straight free throws.
Well, he sure swished one there, that's for sure. The way he 3-bet that last pot.
All right, we have a couple folds. Now Dan Smith with just a 10-4 will call. And the Aussie very tight, solid, 9-6, won't raise. Nothing fancy, here we go.
And flop comes king 7-6 with 2 clubs. Dan has flopped a flush draw. He is going to bet 75,000. Gary has flopped bottom pair. He's got 2 6s. He's going to call him.
Going to the turn we go. It's a 5 of diamonds.
So a possible straight out there now as well.
250.
Dan with the opening straight draw and the flush draw. Going to bet 250,000.
And Gary from Australia.
Well, he's from one of them places that you're going to have to show me a hand that beats mine. He makes the call.
Yeah, he's getting stubborn. Let's see if he gets lucky. Not there. 5 of clubs on the river. That gives a flush, of course, to Dan.
Now Dan now has the best hand with the flush.
570.
570,000 to bet. Pretty good sized bet into a $770,000 pot.
Yes, is he going to chase away the Aussie?
Gary Benson, the first Australian-born player to win a bracelet at the World Series of Poker.
And the Aussie looks at his hand and is going to do the kangaroo hop right out of this hand.
Well, good lay down by Gary there. Dan Smith increasing his chip lead.
Yeah, Dan Smith, a phenomenon on the poker circuit. Made over $4.5 million in worldwide earnings. Pretty impressive for a 24-year-old. Tonight's proving why he's one of the greats. Back to the action, Shaun Suller with a Jack 8 of diamonds. And he will quickly raise to 100,000. But right behind him, Eddy Sabat with ace 10 of spades, Mike.
Well, he's just going to call. Doesn't raise with the ace 10.
Dan out. And Gary now with an ace 8. He's already got money in there, so he's going to put the extra money in and see a flop with an ace 8. So 3-way action. And the flop is queen, Jack 3. So Jack's there for Shaun Suller.
Yeah. Gary's going to check. Shaun has the best hand with 2 jacks now. Action on him.
And this young Hawaiian loves to play fast. And again, he's going to bet at 125.
Now Eddy, who has the gut shot straight draw. King would give him an ace high straight. He can backdoor spades, makes the call for 125, and Gary goes out.
Turned card. Will Eddy get lucky? No. Queen pairs the board. So on Shaun again.
Shaun is putting his opponent on exactly what he's got, some kind of straight draw. So he's going to bet the jacks here.
Yeah, 375. Eddy with just a miracle draw now. Releases the hand. He won't compete. So the 31-year-old Hawaiian, Shaun Suller, got to take that pot down.
Now Gary Benson, very conservative player. That's a king 3 offsuit.
280.
He is going to raise and 3-bet with this hand. Something you don't expect out of this guy. 280,000 to bet.
Hawaiian goes away. And now Dan also folds his hand. So well played. Gary mixing up his game. Now there's his family in the front row. Don't forget they all came here just to visit Bellagio and play a few slot machines. And now he realized, hey, there's a big poker tournament going on. He's played and now he's here in this moment right now.
This time he picks up 10-9 of clubs. He's going to raise it to 125,000. And Shaun now has the king 3 offsuit. Could it be? He's 3-betting also. Back-to-back hands, guys have 3-bet with king 3 offsuits. It worked for Gary. Will it work for Shaun?
Well, Eddy goes out, as does Dan. So the Hawaiian, Shaun Suller, putting the pressure on the Aussie.
Action back on Gary. With the suited connectors, he wants to see a flop, so he makes the call.
9-10 versus king 3. And we have a queen 6-4. No help to either player.
Well, Gary is going to check. Wow, Shaun checks. I can't believe that a guy with 3-bet before the flop and then not bet that flop.
Deuce of hearts on the turn. No help to either player again.
Gary just going to try to take a stab at this pot.
I think when I make a move, people respect me. They know I'm not one to bluff. They know I'm one that usually has a hand when I make a play. Well, that's what I think they think, but I could be wrong.
Well, this is what Gary is saying. He's got such a tight image, but no, the Hawaiian's onto it. He's making the call with just king high.
Didn't bet on the flop and makes the call on the turn. And now a 10 comes on the river. Now Gary has the best hand, and the way this hand is played, he is not putting his opponent on queens. Feels fairly certain the 2 10s are the best hand, trying to get a value bet in here now.
Yep, of 360, but Shaun says no mas. You can have it, Gary.
There's a hand Shaun should have won had he 3-bet before the flop and then bet on the flop. I believe he'd have won this pot rather than lost it.
Back to the belt we go, 4-handed poker. Gary Benson with a queen 8 this time, and he's going to raise to 100,000. Shaun goes out, as does Eddy. But now Dan Smith with a queen 5 will make this call. So queen 5 versus queen 8. Here we go again. Flop is a queen jack 4.
Check.
Well, both players a flop top pair here. This could be a bit of trouble here for the chip leader.
Yep, Dan checks, Gary bets 100,000. He's got his man on the hook right now. Dan's making the call. Gotta love Gary's kicker at this point.
No more.
Oh boy.
Just like that, Dan Smith makes 2 pair, queens and 5s to take the lead. It looks like a nothing 5 at all to Gary, so he bets again, 200,000.
Oh, what a terrible card for the Aussie. Little does he know.
And what Dan's thinking about, do I just call here or do I raise?
When do you punish now? No, he's just going to call.
He just makes the call, so we're going to the river.
And the river card is a 6 of diamonds.
Check.
Doesn't change anything. He's going to check again with the 2 pair.
That's the way this hand's played. You got to believe 2 queens are the best hand. Gary certainly does, and he bets 325,000.
The question is, do you just call? I mean, if you do raise, are you really going to get a call unless you're beat?
525 more.
But he is going to raise it.
Well, he is going to put Gary to the test here.
850.
Gary, a very experienced poker player. Inaugural inductee into the Australian Poker Hall of Fame. Gets away from that hand.
Yeah,
a good laydown by Gary there.
Excellent laydown. Gary, you're doing the right thing. The right moves. You're teaching these young bucks a lot about poker here tonight.
This is you. This is you playing poker on WPT Global. come play at WPT Global. Click the link in the YouTube description below. Sign up with bonus code YT10 and receive your welcome package with a deposit match and free tournament tickets.
Right now, the antes are up to 10,000, blinds at 30 and 60,000. Action on Shaun Suller. He quickly folds his hand.
Over to Eddy Sabat. On the button, looks down at the 76. Suited connector.
Very enticing hand.
He's just going to limp in and call on the button. Doesn't raise. You're always leery when guys limp in on the button if they're trying to trap you. Dan looks down at the ace-9. Doesn't want to get trapped, so he just makes the call.
Certainly does. Now Gary with a miserable looking 7-5, but he's got money in there. Not going to raise.
He's happy to see a flop.
Sure.
Three-way action.
And the flop is an ace, 8-4. So aces for Dan Smith. And look at that draw for Eddy Sabat.
Yep, he's got the straight draw and the flush draw. It's checked around to him.
Yeah.
He is going to bet this hand 85,000.
Dan Smith catching aces there with the 9 kicker, but just calling.
Gary has a gut shot straight draw. He knows that 6 would give him a straight where he might could win a giant pot, so he calls also.
There's 3 on the turn.
3.
Well, Dan is now going to lead out and bet the 2 aces, 300,000.
Yeah, protect the aces. Gary has to go bye-bye.
Now Eddy has a big draw here. Straight draw and a flush draw. Just calls. Does
Yep.
not raise here.
Content to see the river card. Hope to get lucky. Can Eddy do it? And he does as a 5 hits.
That is so much better than a spade because it's a camouflaged
Right.
straight card.
Now Dan with the aces wisely checks. And here it comes.
It is a big bet, over 900,000, nearly a pot-sized bet. And if you're sitting in Dan Smith's seat, it looks like a bluff-sized bet. You know, guys make a smaller bet when they have value hands they want to get paid off on. Obviously, we can see Eddy has the best hand possible. He wants to get paid off, but he's made a bluff-sized bet.
I don't think you can lay this down.
It's going to be tough for Dan. You see his concern.
I call.
Yeah, he's going to make this call.
Dan has made the call. He guessed right about the spades, didn't realize the 5 hit him in the gut to make him a straight as well. Nice bet on the river there by Eddy.
Behind Dan Smith. And here we go. Action's on Dan Smith. He's going to fold this. And now the Aussie. Oh, he's got the suited connector now. The enticing hand. And he will raise. Makes it 125 to go. Shaun out. And Eddy with just a 9-10 this time. But, you know, he's going to invest some more. Makes the call. So 9-10 versus the 6-7 of diamonds.
Flop comes Jack 6-4.
Yeah, nothing hitting for Eddy.
Eddy checks. Gary's flop middle pair here.
He's going to make the continuation bet with it, 175. And we'll just chase away the basketball guy.
He is check raised, no hand, no draw. Getting frisky now.
Certainly is. Goes to 400,000. Now the Aussie, though, makes the pretty quick call there. He's not buying it yet.
Nope. Nice call by Gary here.
Can't push that man around. Look at that face. 3 of hearts on the turn. No help for Eddy, but...
All in.
Oh, wow. All in, he says.
Well, he says all in. He's really setting Gary all in because Gary has fewer chips than him. And you can see Gary is just wondering what is going on here. I just don't believe this guy.
Well, he suspects that he's being robbed, but tough to invest this much more with
Well,
just the 6s.
It's your tournament life. If you make this call and go out here, you're chastising yourself for going out with a marginal hand. Gary lays it down, and Eddy shows him the bluff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, action is on, Shaun.
All in.
Looks down at ace-9. He's got 11 big blinds. He ships it.
Yep, all in. By the way, the blinds have gone up to 40 and 80.
I need something better than that.
Eddy, Dan, and Gary out.
And he takes down the pot.
Yep, I think he's on tilt time.
Let's do this 10, 20 times. There you go.
He needs to get back in there. After the last catastrophe for him, things are turning around. Action on Eddy from Los Angeles. He's got king 5 of clubs.
180.
He's going to make a move to 180,000. Dan going out.
Over to Gary. Gary's got those little suited connectors you like to see flops with, but do you want to call 180,000?
Yep, they're enticing, but nope. Gary resists. And now Shaun with a jack 4.
All in.
He says all in. Look at this.
Wow, bold bet here by Shaun.
He's getting brave, but it's going to work, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to work. Only because Eddy didn't have much, but still a bold play by Shaun Suller there. That was his tournament life, folks. But as my old drill sergeant said, you can only slide so far in barbed wire with those kind of hands.
I'm so happy to hear that line from you again.
All in.
Again! We're hearing those 2 words, all in. Eddy's out.
Oh, I sweated that real corner.
You want to count at least?
No.
And Dan folds.
Wow, the crowd goes wild. Shaun Suller all in again, and again.
Ace queen, right? Ace
Oh,
queen.
this Hawaiian contingent
AK.
loving this.
Well, that time he had a hand. And as the saying in poker goes, your hands actually should be stronger the more number of times that you move in, because everybody's not going to believe you and start calling you soon. So
All in.
He's going all in again with an ace nine of diamonds, but he's being called this time because Eddy Sabat's got a pair of queens.
well, Dan goes out. So there it is, 2 queens for Eddy. Ace high for Shaun. Shaun must win this pot to stay alive, or we'll be down to 3 players. Everybody on their feet here at Bellagio.
Well, this would be some comeback by the Hawaiian. All he has to do is strike at ace right now. Let's see if it can happen.
Well, king 4 deuce on the flop with 1 diamond.
No, the queen of clubs only.
Shaun needs to catch an ace, 2 runners to make a straight, 2 runners to make a flush. Needs some help.
Queens out in front. Eddy's group sweating him.
Well, that diamond comes up, everybody moans. Shaun Suller needs an ace or any diamond to win this pot.
Can he pull this off? Down to the river in Vegas we go. Diamond or an ace. Let's take a look.
The 7 of hearts. Well, Shaun Suller made a good effort of it, Vince. He moved all in many times there down the stretch to try to get hold of some chips. Finally got called by Eddy, who had the 2 queens against the ace 9. They hold up Shaun Suller from Honolulu, Hawaii, our 4th place finisher.
Big effort by him. Fun to watch. He'll take home $303,000 tonight for Bellagio, and he's going over to talk to Matt Savage.
Shaun, you came into this final table with a ton of confidence. Where does that come from?
Well, I've been playing quite a bit this year. Made 2 other final tables, yeah, just been playing great poker of recent.
I'm sure we're going to see you again. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. I'd love to come back, and next year be ones to watch.
He wants to be ones to watch. He's calling the shot, Len.
All right. Aloha.